Hello, beautiful lady. Welcome back to Higher Self and I. Now, what if I told you that baking a cake would be the thing that helped you scale to multi-six figures and beyond in your online business in 2024? You're probably listening to me or looking at me if you're watching on YouTube thinking, no, absolutely not. But let me tell you, because this is literally the reality of what will happen for one of my clients. Now, my client, one of my one-to-one clients, is a goddamn motherfucking queen, powerhouse, so driven and tenacious. And when we started, she knew that she was ready to lead from the front. She knew what she wanted to hit in her business for the year. And she knew that she was ready for it. She really was. She was coming to me like, let's fucking go. However, all of this energy, all of this like powerhouse, tenacious, queen vibes were bringing in the belief of, if I want to succeed, if I want a multi-six-figure business, if I want to make X amount of money this year, I'll have to work really, really, really hard. And she would pretend to rest. Yes, she would tell me that, oh, but Beck, I shut my computer down by 7 p.m. But let me ask you a little question, honey pie. When you close your computer at the moment for the day, are you actually resting, or do you go tootle yourself down to your sofa, sit down, open Instagram back up and reply to messages or reply to your clients and then beat yourself up about not being further ahead? Because this was my client's idea of rest. And a deeper subconscious belief that she had, like I said, was scaling to 500,000 or 1 million or multi-6, 7, whatever you're scaling to or wanting to scale to, can only be done if she was hustling every motherfucking hour. The only way that she could be successful was by doing more, always working, constantly doing, because if she didn't work hard and if she didn't constantly do, that would equal failure. And I see this so often that actually we don't allow ourselves, and look, I was there. I was frickin' there. Rest? What's rest? I don't bloody know. But a lot of the time when I'm looking at this with clients, we come to the conclusion that rest actually equals more success. And if we play in the realms of like the masculine versus the feminine energy, when you're constantly in the masculine, which I very heavily live from, and I will 100% say, and I did for quite a few years in my business until I kind of brought the feminine in, the feminine energy in, the flow in, the allowance, the rest, the white space, the boundaries, like all of that. When you're constantly in the masculine, when you're constantly in the do, it actually starts to come from a place that's not serving you. So she was working hard. A lot of the time she was working hard, clicking open tabs, changing to a different tab, starting one job, starting the next job. Oh, now I've got to do this. Oh, I should probably be doing this. Maybe I'll crack in a launch. Let me shove up a masterclass. That sort of doing. It was coming from this place of like, but if I don't do, I won't succeed. If I don't do, I won't get to where I want to be. Now, this is what I call unaligned action, because it's coming from a place that is unaligned. Now, we very, very much want to be taking action in our business. I am very much an action taker, and I very much use that in my one-to-ones. My clients take action and I want them to action take. But I want them to take action from an aligned space. Try saying that again. An aligned space. Because when you are taking intentional action and intentional rest, which I'm going to speak about, magic happens. And a lot of the time when we're in this like, gotta hustle, gotta work, gotta do, we're actually filling our time with things that actually aren't moving the needle anyway, with things that we think that we need to be doing, with things that, like filling out another bloody Canva graphic. I always used to see posts about that, but it's true. Like you go into the well, I've got to do more. And actually, when we look at it, the aligned action, which comes from being very, very clear on your strategy, very clear on your structure of your business, very clear with what you're working on from quarter to quarter, year to year, very clear on where you're heading, that aligned action means that when you actually follow through on that and when you actually do that and play from that, you end up with more time. And a lot of people ask me like, God, Beck, like you must be working, like you're so busy. I don't want to bother you. You're so busy. I am intentionally working in my business, but I wouldn't say that I was quote unquote busy. I have a lot of free time. I have a lot of free time with Barney. I have a lot of free time with Jack. I have a lot of free time with my family and my friends. That's very important to me. And haven't I had to learn to have a lot of free time of rest during pregnancy? More rest than I would have had as a normal non-pregnant human. And so having this aligned action means that we've got this space to rest. Now, rest can look so different from person to person. It really can. And a lot of the time, what I see, and this happens to many of my clients, is we come up with the equation that rest equals success. The more I fill my cup, the more I give myself time, the more I really tap into having time for myself. And that time could be working on the business rather than in it. That time could be being creative. Whatever that time looks like, it actually works better for them. They're more powerful showing up. They have more energy for clients. They have more energy for pushing the business where they want to go. They have more energy for going after their goals. And actually, it's not coming with working more. It's coming from actually filling their cup up first. And when we're so programmed, which a lot of my clients are, because I have a lot of similarities with the clients that I attract, obviously, we have come from a space, we have come from a childhood that usually equates to working hard. We probably have, like my mom and dad never pushed me, but I worked really, really hard performing arts wise because I just wanted it so much. And I literally look back and I'm like, could have worked harder, obviously. But like I was so trained to constantly be in the doing. I was so trained to be in the work. And I even now see it with my mom. My mom has an incredible job. She loves her job, very, very high position, but she's constantly working. Like I was around hers the other day, just sitting, chilling. And she was literally tootling around the living room with a laptop glued to her arm. And I was like, I see where I get it from. But like, I want to grow a business where I'm not in it all the time. Because yes, my business is my baby, but I'm growing another one. So I need to have space for my other one. And having that space, having that downtime, having that rest is going to actually allow you, one, to connect with you more, to connect internally more, to connect with what that looks like, but also be able to show up better for the aligned action. And this is exactly what happened for me. It's exactly what happened. Now, resting looks very different for every single person. And I think as a high achiever, and I have spoke to my own mindset coach about this, and we've done work on this before, resting for me doesn't look like sitting down. Now, you might listen to this and go, oh, okay, that doesn't make sense. But resting for me is cleaning. Now, that doesn't make any sense to you. That's okay. But the passion, I sound ridiculous, the passion and the love and the joy and the fulfillment that I get from cleaning fills my cup. It's an intentional rest. The same as going to the gym is an intentional rest for me. And it's a thing that's happening, like I suppose I am doing, where I'm not focusing on the business, I'm not focusing on what fucking content I want to write, I'm not focusing on what I need to do next, I'm not focusing on clients, anything like that, where I'm in my own bubble, in my own space, doing my own thing. And a lot of the time when we think about rest, we think about like sitting down at a spa, which that could be your rest. That could really be your rest destination for you. But actually for me and the type of person that I am, which is not a bad thing, and I've gone through this on several occasions subconsciously and looked at it with both me and my mindset coach. And we're really like, look, does it give you happiness? Does it bring you joy? How do you feel after it? I feel freaking great. I feel rested. I feel calm. I feel connected. I feel really happy. I feel in such an incredible state. And there's a lot of things that do that for me that's outside the business. So actually, how much time am I giving to that? How much time am I being in that? And it's about finding your being, the kind of feminine, is it dancing? Is it singing? What's allowing you to connect to you? And really bringing that into, and like I said, it doesn't have to be sitting and binging Netflix, which it could be for you, but that doesn't give me enjoyment. I actually then go on my phone and start thinking about something else. But like, those things that you do in your day that have nothing to do with your business, that when you're doing them, you're like, where did I even put my phone? Do I have a business? Having that break, having that stopgap. And baking a cake was one of the things that my client was like, oh my God, that gives me it. Lo and behold, to tell you in with a little secret, she signed a client as she was baking said cake. I say no more, I rest my case. So there was a couple of things that we did together, and this was literally within an hour session within my one-to-one container with her. Yes, I move quickly, we can move shit fast. What we did first of all is we actually shifted her language and belief around resting. And I see this so much. It's like, well, I can rest today because I posted stories. I can rest today because I sold. I can rest today because I did everything on my list, or I didn't do everything on my list. And basically what was happening is she was justifying the rest. She was justifying not working in her business. And what this was doing, this was instilling kind of an identity where every time she rested, she had to tell the reasons why. Like her boyfriend would come in and she'd be like, I'm sitting here because I've done all of this today. Like the justification would fly in. And she had that story with rest that she couldn't rest unless she justified. So the first thing that we did, and if this is happening to you, is start becoming aware of your language. Language is so important. It's such a huge part of neuro-linguistic programming that I do within my containers. Because the way that your both language in your head, how you speak to yourself, and the language that you say out loud can have such a massive impact on your identity, on your beliefs, on your behaviors. So actually we shifted that to, I choose to rest. Full stop. No justification. No but, no because, no this. No showing the list. I choose to rest. I choose to bake the cake. And knowing and believing, and this was a bit of deep timeline therapy work that we did together, is having and really changing that belief around working harder is going to make me more successful. And I have a lot of clients that change their language around that, of like, working intentionally is going to get me to where I want to go. Working intentionally is going to allow me to hit my goals. Resting intentionally is going to help me get my goals, achieve my goals. So just be very careful of the language that you're using around stepping away from your business, around giving yourself the space and time. Whatever that looks like for you, it looks very different for each client that I work with, but really watch the language that you're using around the rest. I choose to, I decide to. That comes from that powerful place where you're like, well, yes, this is something that I'm stepping into. This is something I choose. This is something I decide. And then we really looked at what was going on from a parts perspective. So first of all, we changed the belief and the language, and then how she shows up to that and what she's going to do in the intentional rest. But the second thing we did was, and this is something I see time and time again with clients, is when we don't rest, when we're just in the push, when we're in the do, the go, we actually start, your body and your subconscious will start to make you rest instead. It will make you ill, make you get ill, make you lose your voice. It will make you procrastinate. It will do things that intentionally put rest into your life without you having to do it. You know, when you hear people go like, I should have done it, my body fucking forced me to do it. That's your subconscious. It's like, well, if you're not going to stop, I'm going to fucking make you stop. And actually, a lot of the time with procrastination, I spoke about this with Jen in our podcast together of the work that we did around her procrastination. One of my most listened to podcast episodes with a client. I'll tag that one in if you haven't listened before. But a lot of the time, like, your body will take you into these things to stop you from doing. And with this particular client that I'm talking about within this podcast, her mind, her subconscious was taking her into victim. And this is something that I did, because for me, resting and victim were so closely linked that I didn't want to rest, because that's when victim would come in. Like, if I rest, I was like, ooh, feel sorry for me because I'm resting. Like, it was just a constant pattern that I had. And actually, we started to see this pattern come about where when she was really tired, when she was really overconsumed, when she was really overwhelmed in the business, her subconscious would take her into her victim part. But that victim part just needed something. And that's the reason why it was coming up. She needed something in that moment. So actually, what we put in place, again, with the equation and kind of doing a lot of parts work with her, is we saw and we found out that when she was going into that, she needed something inside. And we worked out what she needed, and then we worked out how she could get it from a healthier perspective, how she could get it from a place from herself. So actually, whenever she was feeling overworked or was feeling tired, was feeling fatigued, overconsumed, overwhelmed, she can now stop and go, wait, hang on, what do I need? Which meant that she would rest, because that's usually what she needed anyway, and also wouldn't go into victim. Such a powerful, powerful technique that I do in my one-to-one container. It blows my mind every time, and it changes worlds for my clients, because they're so used to doing a certain thing. For example, for me, victim was attention. I was so used to doing that to get attention that I would constantly do that, rather instead going, okay, what do I actually need? Okay, I need love right now. Cool. How can I give myself more love? And I gave her the example of when I used to work a lot with weight loss. So when I first started my business, my whole business was, my niche was literally hypnotherapy for weight loss. That's all I did. That's all who I worked with. And a lot of the time when my clients would go and snack at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., it was never because they were hungry. It was always because they thought that the food was going to give them something. And I used to ask them to ask themselves, what are you craving? What do you actually need right now? Because 9 times out of 10, it wasn't the snack. It wasn't that. The same with this client. It wasn't the victim that she needed. Like, it wasn't that she needed. She actually needed something else. And the victim took her that because she thought the victim thought she was going to get that when she's in that. But actually, if we can have a look and have that stopgap with ourselves day to day, hour to hour, minute by minute, if you need it, where you go, something's going on. A part has just come in that is not me. I'm not in self anymore. I'm not in calm, curious, confident, capable. I'm not in the C's. What does it need? What do I need? And a lot of the time, and this happened with Jen, she would procrastinate because her body needed the rest. So how about we give her body the rest so she didn't even have to procrastinate anymore? She got 10 times the amount of stuff done than she used to because of that switch, because of that part switch, because of the permission, because of the language. So you get to actively choose to rest and bake a cake while still building a multi-six-figure business. And that comes from intentional work, intentional doing, and intentional being, intentional rest. And as your mentor, this is exactly what I can help you with so you can hit those record-breaking months that you are craving to hit. So if you're ready to step into that, if you're ready to unlock your wealthiest version of you, where you get to have both the intentional doing and the intentional being, you know where I am. One-to-one applications are in the show notes. And I will see you on the next podcast episode. Mwah. Bye.